Joining us now, Pentagon Press Secretary, retired Rear Admiral John Kirby. Admiral Kirby, there are reports that Russian forces are stalling in eastern Ukraine in specific areas that they have set their sights on taking over. What's the very latest?
Well, as of this morning, we would still assess that their progress has been plodding for sure, slow, uneven. They continue to face a very stiff Ukrainian resistance. What they're trying to do, and the only sort of incremental progress they've made, Mika, is to the north of the Donbas region, south of a town called Izium, where they have been trying to push south and to the southeast to try to push the Ukrainian line of contact further to the east. They've made some minor progress over the last 24 hours, but not much. It's really been give and take for the last 24, 48 hours.
Admiral Kirby, good morning. I want to ask you about these humanitarian evacuations out of that steel plant in Mariupol. We hear a group of civilians did make it out. Another effort was thwarted because the Russians weren't allowing those convoys through. And also a question to you about where these Ukrainian evacuees are ending up. It's one thing to be evacuated, but if you're sent to Russian territory, that's not the kind of evacuation most people would want to see. So what more can you tell us about those?
Well, we think the Ukrainians have been pretty clear about this. I mean, there's now several hundred, looks like at least a couple of hundred civilians that are still at the plant, and we continue to urge Russia to work with the non-governmental organizations, the Red Cross and the Ukrainians, to get them out and to get them the ability to move elsewhere inside their own country. I mean, the reports that these people are being taken and bussed over to Russia, that's just unconscionable. And certainly we have no reason to doubt those reports. If you're going to let people go and flee, let them flee at least to their homes or to family and friends inside their own country. So again, we continue to call on Russia to do the right thing here.
Admiral Kirby, good morning. Jonathan Lemire, great to see you again. The president later today is heading to Alabama to highlight the manufacture of Javelins, these missiles that are being so key to Ukraine's defense. So give us an update, please, in terms of the status of weapons heading to Ukraine. How many more weapons could go there if the $33 billion gets through Congress, the president proposed? And then are there any concerns, considering how many weapons we are shipping overseas, about having enough here at home to defend ourselves?
Well, there's a lot there, Jonathan. I'll tell you, first of all, in terms of our own readiness and stocks, I mean, yes, look, we've been pulling a lot of things off our own shelves to provide to Ukraine, and it's the right thing to do. And we're going to keep doing that as long as we can, as fast as we can. And every time we do that, Jonathan, we have to do a readiness assessment to make sure that our own capability to defend the nation is not impacted. And so far, we have been comfortable in the amount of material that we're providing. And that material continues to flow every single day. More than 80% of the howitzers, of the 90 howitzers that were promised in the last two packages, are already in Ukraine, not just in the region, but in Ukraine. And we are now training another, now third class of Ukrainian artillerymen on how to use them. So more than 100 artillerymen of the Ukrainian army have been trained and are going back into Ukraine to train their colleagues on how to use these howitzers. And we think that the artillery pieces, these are really important weapons for the kind of fighting that we're seeing in the Donbas. Back to Mika's question, the back and forth, the slow progress. The Russians are simply acting according to their doctrine. They're shelling in advance of the ground movement. They think they're softening up the Ukrainians, but they're not. And the Ukrainians are able to fight back. So these artillery pieces and the rounds that go with them are going to be very, very important. I don't know what future packages are going to look like. We still have a little existing drawdown authority left to us, Jonathan. And as you saw, the president asked for a supplemental to get us $5 billion more in drawdown authority. We're urging the Congress to pass that as speedily as they can.
Admiral, we're less than a week away from May the 9th, which is the big Victory Day celebration for which we understand Putin would like to show something for his efforts in Ukraine. There isn't very much to show. We've been reporting on that even in the east of the country. I've heard some U.S. officials suggest to me that that could make the likelihood of him doing something extraordinary, possibly even some kind of tactical nuclear weapon, more likely, not less, as we head into this time period. What's your thinking on what could happen in the next week if Putin wants to show something?
Well, I mean, clearly, this is a big day in their history, and we do expect him to have some sort of statement or proclamation about it regarding Ukraine. We're not sure exactly what he's going to do. I heard rumors today that he might, make an official declaration of war. So we're just not sure how he's going to treat that day. What we can tell you is we haven't seen any indications of the use of weapons of mass destruction or in the offing. Now, we watch this every day. Every day is different. I know that. Nobody's making predictions here, but we haven't seen anything that would cause us to believe that WMD is about to be used, and certainly nothing that would cause us to change our own strategic nuclear deterrent posture, not only for our homeland, but for our allies and partners. But again, we're watching this every day. And Mr. Putin, clearly could escalate this, but he could also end the war today, Caddy, just by doing the right thing and moving his troops out, sitting down with Mr. Zelensky. Now, I know he's not showing any proclivity to do that. We understand that, which is why, again, to Jonathan's questions, we're continuing to flow the kind of support that the Ukrainians need to defend themselves.